For March the 14th, 2025, we talk about a game about digging a hole, RoadCraft, Void Crew, and much more. Welcome to level 536. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm Moxie.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Welcome back, everybody. I think it was just the four of us last time, so I'm not saying welcome back to anybody in particular, but welcome back nonetheless.
Was it not a 3-style last time?
I think it might have been a 3-style last time. I don't know. I lose track. Who wasn't here?
Cole
was it you,
wasn't
Moxie?
Yeah, I was not here.
Okay. How you doing, Moxie? I saw you yesterday. So
Feels like they're here.
yeah.
Yeah. No, so I was not here, last time because I was en route to visiting my family for a week before my new job. So I am now visiting my family for a week before the new job. Saw you yesterday, which was awesome. And then today, went with my dad and a family friend to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
How was that?
It was a lot of fun. I had never been there before, so didn't really know what to expect. It was really cool. They do a really good job of, they've got kind of one of their main exhibits that is sort of starting with like gospel music and stuff like that, and going through the development of of rock and roll, Elvis, then punk, I realize that's
a big step.
I'm skipping entire decades here, but you know what I'm saying, the development of that. They had one of their traveling exhibits was basically like women in rock and roll. And kind of specifically with a focus on women that really had kind of a feminist image, that sort of thing.
Your Joan Jetts, your Joan Baez's,
exactly.
Other Jones.
The one I'm partial to is Susie Sue from Susie and the Banshees.
Of course.
And so they had like one of her just over the top amazing outfits and stuff like that. So that was fun. Just all sorts of things. I think I think this year they're inducting Bon Jovi. And so they had a big thing for that. So it's just all the dad rock, which
right.
You can't go wrong with. I think my favorite dumb thing they had there, which is like actually genius, is they have these booths set up where you can create like your own band logo and make up your fake band and then
Guitar Hero.
print out like stickers with the logo there.
Okay.
But when you consider that, like, that then means every, like, I don't know, 100 kids that go through this, museum every day, like, has ready access to stickers. The genius is that the end result is, like, the entire museum looks like the interior of every concert venue ever, where it's just covered in band stickers.
Okay, are they making an effort to remove them, or are they rolling?
Oh, no. Like, it's very much like, oh, no, this is the aesthetic. Like, if you go to any hole-in-the-wall, like, place where you're going to listen to an up-and-coming punk band, this is exactly what every wall looks like.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I was like, okay, are they doing it on purpose, or are they gonna like back away from it in an uncool institutional way?
Yeah, I I'm pretty sure they're doing it on purpose, because like they have certain places that are like, hey, don't put stickers here. Like, little signs up.
My own display cases or whatever. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And then there's other areas where it very much looks like, like near the sticker place, here are all these like very conveniently more or less blank walls. So yeah, no, I think it's intentional, and it really goes with like the vibe of the place. Just lot of fun. Really cool. Seeing history. Yeah, just was a really good time.
I mean, like both of us grew up kind of close to it, like, like a 1-day trip length away. I never gone. Oh. I should go. Have you been, Ben?
No, but I've been to the Science Museum next door.
Okay.
Yeah, the Science Museum is great there. The Art Museum in Cleveland, also top notch, particularly if you're into medieval arms and armor.
I have never been either, so I'm sensing a weekend trip coming up.
Maybe.
Yeah, I have no idea, but it's literally like the place where like, I was into HEMA, like historical European martial arts, for a while. And that's like the place whenever any researchers are like, oh yeah, I needed to go, research some, plate armor or something. They're like, oh yeah, I went to the Cleveland Art Museum.
Weird claim to fame.
Yep.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. If you're in the area, one thing I'd in particular recommend is seems like they have like special events pretty often. So like a few days ago, there's apparently a book signing by, it wasn't someone I recognized, but some musician wrote an autobiography or something. So yeah, maybe even, check out if there's anything like that, if you live in the area.
Nice. Check the calendar.
Yep.
Yeah. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I'm trying to remember what I did this weekend. I mostly stayed in and watched Love is Blind on Sunday. I don't know if I've talked about how I watch this show. That's like my secret trashy show that I like to watch.
Jen and I watched, I think, 6 seasons before we're like, all right, this is sunk back down to the level of all other reality TV.
Yeah.
Like the first a couple seasons were fire, but continue.
It for me, it's kind of filled the hole that Jersey Shore had in college, where it's like you have a beer and just watch it and laugh at it with friends and then go about your business. But anyway, that's a guilty pleasure that's now, I guess, out in the open. But
there's no such thing as guilty. You like what you like.
Just own it. Yeah. I think
Ben likes feeling guilty about his pleasures. Stop bullying him.
I think other than that, I saw some old coworkers from out of the country who were in town. So that was nice. But yeah.
Not too bad. Yeah. Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, well, first off, Moxie buried the lead because they swung by my house on their way back to home. Which, my kids are incredibly excited about. Uncle Moxie is basically a superhero, a legendary figure in our home.
Oh, that's great.
So, I mean, they're just good judges of character.
Accurate. But the way kids do, Moxie just got both barrels of whatever the thing on top of their mind was. Which like 2 nights before Milo had like a really scary nightmare. And so over dinner, they wanted to know, Uncle Moxie, what's your favorite nightmare?
Favorite. That's good.
Yeah.
So I have to tell the other side of the story.
Yes.
Like, the reason I kind of begged off of that question is actually is that like most of my nightmares are just super weird existential adult stuff.
Oh yeah.
like I had a nightmare where like my family and I were going on a family vacation, but it's sci-fi, so like we're going on vacation to like the future or something. And my time travel system got messed up. And so I got there all right, but they weren't going to be able to send me back. They'd have to send me back to like 200 years in the future. So like I now have a week until everyone I know will be dead.
Oh, jeez.
And so like it's all these things where it's like, all of the nightmares I can think of to tell are ones that like I don't want to tell a little kid.
Kind of advanced concepts. Like it's not quite like, oh, it's a monster chasing me.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a very high concept nightmare.
You start writing sci-fi books.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was fun. They also were like, "What's your favorite color?" And I pointed at Moxie's outfit. And was like, I think it might be black. But yeah, so that was fun. I also, in the name of shoehorning video games into our opening, this is only very tangentially related. But you know, it's Lent season. A lot of Christians or Catholics will use that as an excuse to like fast from something.
Yeah.
And I put an app on my phone for like digital fasting called Arrow. And like, but all it is like you hit it when you put your phone down, and it just tracks how long your phone is down.
Oh, okay.
Very, very simple. But my dumb gamer brain has gotten so into maximizing that number that it's been incredible. So at least 4 hours a day. Usually I'm up around like 6. I've just I put my phone on a shelf and been without in a way that I have not done, I think, since I got an iPhone. So yeah, it's been really, really nice. And the dopamine hit that I get whenever I do pick it up to see you've been away for 3 hours is kind of replacing the doom scroll diminishing returns dopamine hits. So gamifying good habits seems to be working all right.
As long as you're getting your dopamine from somewhere,
Yeah.
But we were talking before the show started just about the way you interact with the insanity of the world around us. And one major realization for me so far, everyone's mileage may vary, is like where when I was checking headlines all the time, it felt like everything was moving very fast and very chaotic, and it is. But now that I'm doing it like once a day or once every other day, it's like, not that much is changing day to day, at least on a practical scale. So that at least has slowed things down from my mind. I'm enjoying it. So the app is Arrow. It's cool. It's I think there's several different options out there, some that are more overtly video game-ish than others. But I recommend it.
Yeah. I forget the name of it, but I used one that was like, you could tell it's certain apps and you had to give it like shortcuts access or whatever, but it's like, it didn't stop you from opening it. Like it was not like a full ban, but what it did was like when I went to open Twitter was the one that I, was like okay, instead of opening immediately, it would show you the app and it would make you wait 5 seconds before the before it would open up. And it's really stupid how that worked. Right. It's just like, like all you needed to do is add this like little bit of friction, like it's just enough time to think like, do I really need to? Yeah.
Yeah. All the times that you just like
that is not Clicker Hero.
Yeah. But all the times that you just like you open your phone because you have 5 seconds, the little catch of like, I don't want to break my streak.
Yeah. No, whatever it takes, just to reassert control back over your relationship with this thing that is, not entirely optional, but is a lot optional.
It's amazing just switching to Blue Sky, like how much better the world is when all of a sudden if I scroll past the like my actual feed to just random things the algorithm wants, it's not all like horrible people.
Oh yeah, no, it's not people who paid $8 to a Nazi to have people see their ideas more. Yeah. Yeah, I really don't have anything. We're in the middle to bring games to do. I've just been in a homework hole because we've got we're doing an episode of Watch Out for Fireballs about Might and Magic 6. And that game is really long, a lot longer than I thought it would be. So like spent like 8 hours on Saturday and Sunday trying to play as much of it as I could. And it's like, oh my God, losing my mind with it. So like my thing was, I went out and had a visit with Moxie yesterday. That was fun. And that was going to be it. So
has an RPG ever been shorter than you thought it would be?
Oh yeah. No, we've had a couple like that.
Okay.
Like, Tyranny like ended up being like a 20-25 hour thing. We did Scald against the Black Priory recently as like a 15 hour kind of Ultima throwback kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad it doesn't all break one way.
No, there are ones. I mean, it's longer than we usually cover. Like those are longer than like a one episode coverage thing would usually be, but also, for the genre, surprisingly short.
I just love the name, like Scald against the Black Priory. Like, I don't know, I want someone to do like a quiz game that is like, is this an indie game or a power metal song?
I thought you were going to say, where's the colon in this title? If you just say,
also good.
Yeah. Scald against the Black Priory.
Yep.
Yeah. I want to talk about video games, and I think that we should do the regular kind of show to do that. To do that, we need to, do the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss, and we can get started with The Grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the last period of time or so. Moxie, you've been away, so I will throw to you first.
Yeah, I don't have a whole heck of a lot. I've been continuing Fallen London. I forget if last time did I say that I had gotten reinstated into the university.
I remember you saying something about that.
Yeah. So that happened. Had to do some voyages of discovery, and write a amazing monograph or whatever. I also, with that, managed to scrape together enough funds to open a laboratory in the university, whereby scrape up enough funds, I mean like rob several buildings in elaborate heists.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Which is always amazing. So I'm currently trying to build up my stock of lab equipment and also figure out a way to hire some postdocs in order to do my drudgery.
Mm-hmm.
Just normal academia stuff.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've bought a newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
And to give you an idea of,
did you buy a folded piece of paper with the news, or did you buy a newspaper printing and reporting organization?
The second one, the Bezos option.
Yeah, the one that would be an actual story.
Hey, all right. In Fallen London, buying a newspaper to read could be a complete side quest, and it could.
Yes.
I mean, fair. I think to give an idea of like the overall tone of the game, in my newspaper, like once you open your newspaper, the first thing you have to do is find reporters for each of your departments. And so I ended up with my arts department is headed by a revolutionary anarchist. My like culture and like social goings on is a actuary that works in Queen Victoria's palace. The like gossip columns is run by a pair of devils that basically they were trying to convince me to sell them my soul, and I'm kind of using that against them of like, if they want to get close to me to sell my soul, when I show up and I'm like, hey, could you do a favor for me? Of course they're going to say yes. So, I use that to like rope them into working for free.
Okay.
And then I think maybe it's the advice column is run by a ocelot, by which I mean literally a giant talking jungle cat.
Okay.
Of course.
How does he feel about 6-shooters?
We haven't talked about that. Russia is in fact trying to send spies into London, so we may have problems in the future.
Gotcha.
So yeah, this is a very, very silly game. That's it's pretty much just constant shenanigans. A lot of the other things I'm doing, I'm not sure of the significance of them yet. So, for example, like one of the old prisons in London, for some reason, was taken over by bees, and the inmates were just kind of left there and have established into two factions that just kind of murder each other for fun because no one can like permanently die in this world.
Okay.
And so I've like been joining up with one of the factions on the murder sprees as a way to capture bees, which for some reason a bunch of the factions in the game really want bees.
And I have to ask again, sorry, was this overrun by bees as in there was an insect infestation, or overrun by bees as in like sentient bees took over the place?
And that's a complicated question.
Or did all text on the signage and documents turn into the letter B?
We didn't even think about that.
Again, this is very much a like, I'm having trouble, I don't know yet what I don't know yet. But in this, they are just straight up bees, like a bee infestation. However, these bees, for some reason, when you eat their honey, it acts as, promotes dreams. It's, I think, kind of the this game's sort of equivalent of like Victorian England, like opium dens, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
However, in this world, you are literally physically transported to those dreams.
Okay.
And that's all I know so far. Yeah. I don't have a lot to go on, but yeah, there's bees with magic honey, and I have to go all Hunger Games style to get it.
Okay. Yeah. So like, is the kind of like lack of like a stat system or a progression kind of getting in the way? Because I remember you talking about like everything just kind of being a tangle of tags.
Yeah, yes and no. Overall, that is like part of the charm of the game. It is very much, it's sort of like trying to untangle a ball of yarn, where a lot of what you're doing is just kind of tugging on various strings, and periodically some of them will unravel, and you'll get farther.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of things where there's like long-term goals I have. So, for example, one of the sections of the game is basically taking sea voyages to the various outlying areas around London in this underground lake. And but that requires you to unlock the actual ability to get to these various areas. So a lot of the stuff I'm doing with like the labs and some of the heists is actually me either stealing or producing maps.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm slowly, working my way towards where I'll eventually have the resources to, put together these routes. And then all of a sudden I'll have access to a bunch more of the story because I can go to these various locations.
Mm-hmm.
And, likewise, there's a whole bunch of areas in the story where a lot of these other locations are like our rival kingdoms. So there's one that's like the Khanite or whatever that is. I'm not super into Victorian literature, so I'm probably explaining this kind of wrong, but it's kind of their way of drawing in some of the like Orientalist themes of Victorian literature and some of the Kublai Khan and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But doing it in a way where rather than being like the actual Victorian literature of like, oh, look how superior London is to all of these things, it's actually satirizing that.
Okay.
So I said, I haven't gone there in full in London, but I know in like Sunless Seas, one of the jokes they play around with a lot is you showing up to this other country, this country full of foreigners and being outraged that they consider you a foreigner.
Oh yeah, not being pleased with having chauvinism applied back to you.
Right, exactly. And so that's one of those things where, there's this other kingdom and there's a whole bunch of areas in other parts of the story where I need resources or insight or stuff like that related to that kingdom that then, once I unlock that shipping route and am able to go there, that'll then in turn reveal threads I can start pulling on back in these other stories. So it's very much you're constantly pulling on different parts of the story to make advancement.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, that was my only question about it.
So it sounds like this is a game where you play it by thinking about it when you're not playing it as much as anything
very
else.
much so. Yeah.
That's cool.
Did you have anything else?
Nope, that's all I got.
Okay. I have a demo that I can talk about very briefly.
Okay.
Well, this isn't the brief, so you're going to have to stretch it.
No. No. I just like I said, I've mostly been head down on homework play, but I did make a little bit of time tonight to check out a new game by the SnowRunner Mudrunner people called RoadCraft.
Okay, is this more recent than Mudrunner?
This is more recent. So this demo was part of the Next Fest. Is what it was. I forget when the demo was. The actual game itself is coming out on May the 20th of this year. So you all know the basic remit of like SnowRunner and Mudrunner. You are driving trucks around in inclement kind of environments, trying to do like little missions, like reach particular spots kind of by going off-road or going over destroyed roads or like rescuing other vehicles, oftentimes getting stuck and then driving back to where you got stuck to rescue the vehicle that you got stuck, and then getting stuck doing that and then needing to go get both cars unstuck.
You basically get out crawling over the corpses of other vehicles you've left.
Yes, yeah, but just like really granular off-road kind of thing where it's not you going fast. It's you kind of trying to very carefully navigate over, the best possible way to get around like very poor traction and, things that are flooded out. Try not to get stuck on slopes. Just kind of makes the act of driving into kind of a meal.
It's the anti-Sonic.
A little bit, yeah. You would like to go fast, but everything precludes you from doing so. RoadCraft kind of takes that basic kind of idea and takes away the like open world kind of aspect of it, where everything takes place in kind of like city maps, and you're kind of getting around and learning the surrounding countryside. And at least in the demo, each individual mission kind of is on its own kind of bespoke little map, and you are still trying to get around, but like the title kind of describes, you are also not just trying to get around, but you are adding construction equipment into the mix in order to like try and very specifically recover, help areas recover from disasters.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
that does sound kind of cool.
So there are only like 3 missions in the demo, and I only got kind of like part way through the first one. So like I said, it's very very brief. But like the introduction mission is, okay, power is out in this region after a hurricane passed through. So like you need to use a scout vehicle to kind of scout the area and then help restore power to it. And like the steps that I got through were like, there are these areas around like transformer stations where like there are trees that are damaged that are about ready to fall over, and you need the logs from those trees in order to do construction to help put up new poles. So like, I had to use the scout vehicle to get to like a site where there was a tree harvester, and then get into and then learn how to use this tree harvester machine, with its like boom and everything, in order to get in position to like take down all of the weakened trees in a particular, like area around this transformer station. You take them down, then you strip them into logs. And then I had to like get to a log carrier. I forget what the actual name of the machine is. That I'm not particularly here for the equipment. I'm here for the challenge. But like the log carrier machine, and like get this even bigger, heavier machine into where you took down those logs, and then like use the crane on that to pick up the logs and like load it into the back. And like stabilize the load, and then also like get that to the place where you need to build the new power poles, right? And that's like the introduction. That's like an 8-part mission in order to do that, where you're like learning how to use, 3 different pieces of heavy machinery.
This seems like a really good application to the franchise, or like a good way to elaborate on what the formula is of the game.
Yeah. It doesn't sound that dissimilar to what was the game that you brought, Dennis, one time? The Expeditions, like from the book of
Expeditions,
from the Book of Mud Runner or whatever.
From the Mud Runner verse,
the Mud Runner Cantos.
The most frustrating thing about Expeditions was that the mini games that you did when you got to the locations, like the real game is traversing to the locations. And then the things you did when you got there were all super lame. So I'm curious if kind of the things you're doing at the locations that you just mentioned, like mechanically, are those anywhere near as interesting as driving, or is it truly just like I gotta do this until I can do the fun stuff again?
It's not like a little Mario Party mini game. Like definitely driving and getting around is the most interesting thing, but also like, it's not like the heavy machinery that you're using to do this stuff is already where it needs to be. It's like, all right, I got here on this kind of light small wheel vehicle. I need to maneuver this thing that's on treads and has an entirely different kind of like, set of controls for traction. to like get into these very particular like situations, kind of using the same skills that you have for doing the regular driving. Like, okay, I need to just be very conscious. I need to scan the environment and like check it for what its traction and what the slope is going to be to like get in position. So like it's still about, like with the tree harvester, getting it so that the big just nightmare brace of blades is around like where it can grasp the tree and then pick it up, then putting it down in a place where you can take this other much heavier machine and like get to that without getting stuck on the stumps that you left when you took down the when you took down the tree. So like it's a little bit like different versions of the same problem, and then like loading the logs into the back of the tree carrier is not like automatic. Like that was like, I picked it up and it's like, oh, I picked it up too close to the end. It was impossible for me to like maneuver it and drop it onto the back of the thing. And it was impossible to do that. So like I had to like drop it and reposition and pick it back up again as I like learned how to use this thing. And if I kept going with that mission, I probably would have to learn how to use learn how to maneuver these spaces with even more stuff, construction cranes and things like that. So like it doesn't sound like the mini games in this are even mini games. It sounds like it's just like different applications of the same principle, not like
that's heartening. Yeah, very cool.
Not like a Mario Party or like a QTE kind of thing. Yeah,
they learned.
Mm-hmm. But like I was curious about this because like SnowRunner is another one of those games like Satisfactory or RimWorld where it's like I could lose myself in this just based on the little bit of it that I played. Like, this is definitely like kind of a turn your brain off and just kind of, roll with it kind of thing. The fact that there's this new one coming out and it seems to have a little bit more variety definitely, drew my attention. And like, if you look at the promo stuff, like you're doing a bunch of different things. Like they have you actually like paving roads that have been washed out and stuff. And these like promo images and things like that, like fixing bridges and shit, which like none of these things, I was never like I'm super into construction stuff or like, big truck go kind of thing when I was a little kid. But like the problem solving aspect of this is just like way too interesting and like thoughtfully textured for me to like not be kind of fascinated with it as a simulator.
Yeah, like the cleaning up aspect seems like to have a common itch as like Power Wash Simulator.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're restoring an area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead.
Does this have the same emphasis on winching that the other games have?
So that's an option in the scout vehicle. The heavy stuff does not have a like winching kind of thing, but like if I got stuck in the mud, I could definitely like use the same winching interface to like pick where the winch is going to anchor on the car versus what tree that's nearby to try and pull myself out of it or pull something else out.
Because I'm just imagining a scenario where like the puzzle is which trees do I cut down versus which do I need to leave.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like so far, everything about this just kind of seems to be like, SnowRunner minus the kind of open world, kind of persistent aspect to it, but plus like a construction simulator almost, which is very tempting to me. So, yeah.
Cool.
I was not aware of this, so I'm excited to check it out.
Coming out relatively soon too.
Cool.
May 20th.
My pitch for a SnowRunner game would be do a crossover SnowRunner and Frostpunk, where you were the person doing the actual frost cutting.
Oh yeah.
You just drive things back and just get a snapshot of society decaying each time.
Oh man. Yeah, that's what I've got is RoadCraft is that demo. I didn't expect it to go that long on it.
Very cool.
Who has something new?
I have a new game that I am very excited about.
Okay.
Specifically because I want to recruit more people to play with me. So,
okay.
Come with me into the madness. That is Void Crew. Do you guys remember Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time?
Yes.
You
Physics-based.
mean one of the greatest games ever made?
Excellent game. Just truly an amazing game.
Physics-based, almost like semi-platformer, but it is two people trying to navigate a small spacecraft.
Exactly. Yeah. And you're navigating the spacecraft around the level, but the spacecraft itself is the space that you're platforming in, inside of it to get to different stations to control steering or to control the guns, etc. Void Crew is like that, only in 3D with a more fully realized spaceship. So if you're a Star Trek fan and you've ever wanted to have that experience of more power to the thrusters, I'm giving them all she's got, Captain, etc. That was not a Scottish accent. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Well, I knew what you were trying to do.
Yeah, that's the important part. But yeah, so you can have up to 4 people on a ship. There's a smaller ship for teams of 2 to 3, and then a larger ship for teams of 3 to 4. And each person has kind of different roles and skill trees associated with those roles that you can slot into. It is not hard and fast classes because anyone can take points from any place in the skill tree. But generally, obviously, the better stuff is further in a skill tree, so you want to focus your points in one. There's obviously the pilot at the helm steering the ship. You can sit from a cockpit view and steer things around, but the game is very much designed on you switching over to a third person kind of behind camera that you're controlling the ship from. And you can, in addition to doing all the flying, you're also marking targets for your gunners. And ships have all different kinds of weapons they can have. Hop on those, blast away, etc. There's a whole system around managing engine power and shields, etc., that engineers will do, and that you can't even see outside the ship. You are just pinballing around the ship, putting out fires, literally putting out fires, and adjusting things as people need, reloading weapons, etc. And then the thing that makes this really special is there's the 4th kind of skill tree is for EVAs, and I think it's extravehicular activities.
Yeah, doing like spacewalks.
Yeah. Exactly, spacewalks, and so most of the areas are designed so that at some point you are going to have to get out and either go to a space station that's floating away or, do something outside the ship. And then in the general course of combat, you'll get hull breaches and ship damage that needs to be repaired from the outside. So going through the airlock and doing all of that is especially intense. Can
you do boarding actions?
Not yet. So it's an early access game, and they've got some really cool stuff on the roadmap. A lot of your verbs for other ships is just shoot right now.
Okay.
But that really the boarding actions, you can find destroyed frigates that you can you jump out of your ship and then go explore around inside the destroyed frigate, but nothing where there's actually people inside. That's probably because this game really does not have much in the way of first person combat. You are only running around to pick up canisters and stuff when you're not on an emplacement. There's a game coming out, I guess, called Jump Ship later this year, also to early access, that is basically Void Crew with first person shooter elements, where I would expect boarding actions to make a little more sense.
Yeah.
Warframe actually has a mode like this, which I guess that's third person.
You could say Warframe has anything in it, and I would believe you at this point.
Yeah. So that setup took a long time to explain it, but the actual playing it feels so unique to anything I've played in a long time, really since Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time. and the like yelling to each other over comms and kind of juggling roles is just incredibly satisfying. And, I've been mostly playing this with friends, and it's just a really, really cool experience. Highly recommend. It positions itself as a roguelite, and I don't think it should do that. You choose where you're going to jump next, which is essentially like the overall mission. And then you can pick up artifacts that you plug into your ship for like boosts. And those boosts can be significant, but it never feels like creating a build, if you will.
Yeah.
So I actually appreciate that, just because the moment to moment gameplay is so much fun and such the focus of the game, that they didn't let, needing to find the right relic or take the right pathing override being a skilled pilot or really working well as a team. So they say roguelite, but don't believe it, and that's not a knock against it.
I could have saved you a bunch of time. Immersive multiplayer FTL.
Yeah, there you go. Not far off at all.
Not too
even less on the roguelike side though. But yeah, FTL is another great touch point for this. I guess is there I saw someone talking about a game called Barotrauma.
I was going to call that one out.
Yeah. It is a bit odd that there is no role in this space game. And I thought that was weird. I kind of looked into it, and it turns out like the devs were very intentional. They're like, yeah, we tried it. We kind of had to make some gameplay design concessions, specifically because we wanted teamwork and like call outs to be such a central part of the game, that when up is changing moment by moment, it's impossible for the team to actually
that's a skill
where
issue.
They want you to go. Yeah. Oh, hey. But as it is, it's just the right amount of chaos to play with your friends. Go ahead.
So comparing this to Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time, my most important question is, does this provide the opportunity to play as an adorable bunny?
No, but you might be able to put a little adorable bunny icon on your mask, which is like their...
Yeah, I can work with that.
Yeah, one of their cosmetic things is everyone's got kind of the generic face shield cosmonaut thing going on, but you can choose what icons go over top of that and are displayed to everyone else. But I became a believer in this game the first time where I had jumped out of the vehicle into an abandoned mining facility to like reactivate it and grab some, I think it was like a data cache or something out of it. Stuff went sideways, took too long. Whenever you start an objective, a timer starts counting down until this like hyper powerful enemy that's chasing you arrives. And so we were out of time. I had the cache finally. I'm sprinting out of the facility, and the guy I was with, who was playing pilot, raised the ship from under my field of view up into where I could see, just in time for me to like jump crazy into the airlock as he turned around to blast away. And I was just like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, it sounds rad as hell.
That sounds like a game that needs some VR support.
They said that is a maybe, so it might be coming. The team, by the way, I should look up the devs of this. They're very communicative and seem to really have their head on their shoulders in terms of just like talking about what's working, what's not, listening to the community, and seeming to have a really clear vision for where they want to go with this.
This is like enough of a like fantasy of mine that this might actually get me to play a multiplayer game.
Oh, promises.
I'm not promising anything. I'm saying what I am saying is I bought it, but that doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit.
I will pester you constantly until you are playing it with me. So, yes, we will make this happen. It is super cool. Well, I kind of wonder a little bit because this Jump Crew game seems very similar. If there's a little bit of a, Ants and a Bug's Life came out at the same time kind of deal going on with it.
If I'm being honest, Jump Ship looks a little bit closer to kind of my idea of this, but also like that's not out yet, and this is. So
yeah, and Jump Ship, it seems a little more warframey or like shootery.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is, you can be a gunner and shoot ship guns, but it's very much not a first person shooter.
Yeah.
And I like that having played it. So yeah, time will tell. But I'm not above, having both and migrating. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, Void Crew is freaking awesome.
Yeah. The developer is called Hut Games.
Oh, how could I have forgotten that stupid name? Yes. It's like the logo spells it real weird, so you gotta like stare at it for 15 minutes to parse it. Yes. Great studio. Dumb name.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is me. I've been playing Avowed. It continues to be wacky in very interesting ways that are probably getting into spoiler territory. So I'll just suffice to say that I'm still playing it. But Void Crew has eaten my life this past week.
Nice. Looks neat. I had never heard of that. And like I said, very specific fantasy for me. So
as a side note, I think Empyrean is another game that seems like it might be scratch some of this itch, although I have not actually played it.
Yeah, I don't know. That looks like a text adventure, but I'm not sure about the spelling. Oh, there's different ones. Yeah. Oh, this is that's like a tactical one. No, at least the one that I'm saying. Nice.
Yeah, I'll drop in chat. Not that's. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's what.
I'm attracted to shiny objects.
Yeah. I forget. Did you say that you had something else, Dennis, or was that all?
No, just Avowed continues to be as wacky and fun as I described, but cool. I'm kind of far enough in that the spoiler stuff that I would want to talk about probably doesn't make sense for a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Neat. Void Crew. And Ben, how about you round us out?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot because I've mostly just done my staples the past week, which is like Magic Drafts and Marvel Snap, but a few things I can talk about, if you'll allow, is a board game expansion I played.
Okay.
Which I may or may not have talked about before, but it's for a game called Gaia Project, which is my favorite board game, and it's an expansion to that. It's the only one that they've made, and it came out sometime last year, and I've only played it a couple of times, but I played it, I think, for the second full time through over the weekend. So yeah, hard to describe this to a room of people who've never played it, probably, and maybe nobody's. I don't know.
I feel like we've talked about it. Like you have brought up Gaia Project as being like your favorite of
gold standard. Yeah. You can kind of compare it to Settlers, except you're building more complicated like cities. You get rewarded for like kind of clusters of them, and then there's technology tracks that kind of determine your abilities, and you get rewarded for. Kind of loosely what it's about. The main thing that the expansion adds is that on the map, you're in space and you're colonizing planets instead of it like in Settlers where you're on an island and colonizing different land types. And the thing that the expansion adds is there's these things called like lost colonies, which are these like giant derelict spacecrafts that have like ancient technology in them, and how that kind of fleshes out in gameplay is as an action you can explore these if you can reach them within like your range, and then each one of them is just kind of like its own mini board that has an exclusive technology that you can get, which is like something that's already baked into the regular game, an exclusive like town tile you can get when you're forming like a town of a bunch of cities, and then exclusive actions that you can do. And just in general, what it does is to get on these ships or explore them, you typically have to pay victory points early on in the game, which can can be kind of expensive, but then what it does is it creates like a lot more economy for you. And so what's been interesting is that in the games, like the end victory point scores is about on par with what the base game is, but it feels like you're doing a lot more because you're paying a lot more victory points up front and then you're kind of gaining them back with your like more economy throughout the game. Yeah, and then they add 2 different new double-sided board factions, so I guess 4 new factions to the game. And all of them have kind of new mechanics and feel kind of powerful. Their balancing is that and you typically start on 2 different places on the game board, similar to Settlers. The expansion factions, you start off on 1, but they typically have a more interesting ability. And so they're pretty well balanced as well, but I guess the one faction I played is like you kind of need to counter it early on, otherwise it kind of runaways with the game, or it can. But yeah, anyway, so I'm just excited about it because it's one of my favorite games, and this is more content for it and more interesting problem space for it. So I'm happy to play that game more and more. So that's exciting for me. I don't know if that helps anyone who's listening, but whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, that sounds pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. I have so much trouble understanding a board game without having played it, and specifically without you walking me through it with the thing in front of me.
Yeah, I'm trying to speak in broad terms to try and make it more accessible instead of it getting into the nitty-gritty of the game mechanics. But yeah, the particular problem with this game is it's not complicated once you know how to play it, but just explaining the rules, there's just so many things that happen, and all of them are simple, but it takes like literally an hour to explain how to play the game.
Right.
So
you are speaking like a parody of a board gamer right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
It's so intuitive once you've learned it. About 3 or 4 hours in, it's really going to start clicking, and then you'll totally get it.
But that's a lot of things. Like that's not just board games. That's just
Oh, outside of board games, yeah, fair.
I would like to think of myself as like a professional of teaching people how to play games because I feel like I've done that a lot. But like, yeah, this one is. I only bring it out for people who really enjoy like Euro type board games. Yeah. Because it is a lot up front.
You're good at it is the thing. So like, yeah.
I really want to see a game incorporate a section to the rulebook that is like, the Captain America turned the seat around and sat down, so you misunderstood the rules. Where it's just like, for when you're an hour into the game and you realize you've been doing the rules wrong and have rules for how you fix the fact that you screwed up the rules.
Here's how to get things right without restarting everything again. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the most dangerous prospects in board gaming is trying to play a game that nobody has played before and trying to play it correctly. It is such a dangerous prospect where it's like
harrowing.
As long as you have one person who's played the game before, usually you're good to go. But yeah. Other than that, I have a small game that I played a little while ago that I'll talk about. It's called A Game About Digging a Hole.
Oh shit! Yes. I've seen this. It shows up on the horror tag on Steam, but everything does. So like, it looks super interesting. Like the loop on it looks super super fun, but I don't know if it's got fit for a stream. So like, it's kind of like ended up in this weird spot for me.
Yeah, it is absolutely not a horror game. So it does have a horror tag, and there is something shoehorned in at the end. So it's like the game that you talked about, I guess, like a month ago. What was it? Hot Dogs, or what was that game called?
Oh, Kiosk. Yeah.
So yeah, and your description of it is pretty apt. It has a really good loop where the premise of the game is you bought a house. There's a backyard. And you're just digging a hole, and why? Who knows? Don't ask questions. And
why? So shut up, kid.
Yeah. And so at the start, you have a shovel. You click to dig a hole, and you make a tiny little divot in the ground, and you do that over and over again. And that kind of builds up steam. You eventually find things like stones, which you can sell for $1. I don't know who's buying, but you can. And then you use the money that you make off of this to upgrade your tech, essentially. And what your tech is the amount of energy you have, and this is a very hand-wavy explanation of it. It says hey, your shovel has like a battery pack on it. If you run out of power, it explodes and you die, and you revive with no money. So like, figure it out.
Damn, everything needing to be connected technology today.
So energy is one thing you can upgrade. So like how much you have. The shovel itself you can upgrade so that it digs bigger holes. And then you have a jetpack that you can purchase. And so and that consumes energy as well, but the thrust on it is something that you can upgrade. And there's one other thing you can upgrade that I can't remember. But anyway, so the basic loop is you collect money from whatever you start digging up. As you go deeper, the resources get more valuable. You start finding like clay or charcoal and maybe some precious minerals and stuff. And then you use that, sell it, you have more money, you can upgrade things. So the game loop is like pretty solidly designed and implemented. And that part's fun. And kind of the interesting mechanic that emerges is as you're digging down, you'll start noticing different like artifacts that are there, or different signs that are there, or like these kind of like set piece moments that it's trying to help you find and experience. And there's a decent number of those as you're progressing downward. And I guess I don't know whether or not to like spoil this game or not. It's a pretty short game. So I guess I'll avoid spoilers and just say, there's an ending kind of more or less set piece that is somewhat different than the rest of the game. And I think
it's Balrogs.
I would need to Google what Balrogs are. Wait,
yeah.
Ben,
there are no whips. I knew it was Lord of the Rings. I just needed to recall which thing it was.
When you dig too deeply and greedily.
Yeah.
There are not Balrogs specifically, but anyway. So I don't know. It's kind of tough to evaluate this game because it's like, it's $5 game. So is it worth $5? Probably. Like, would this be worth $10 or $20? Absolutely not. So
did you ever play SteamWorld Dig?
Oh, that was a great game.
I can't recall.
It has a similar kind of loop to this, but that's like a 2D, like a 2D platformer kind of digging kind of thing.
It is to this as Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time is to Void Crew.
Yeah.
Ooh. So I don't know. It's it is. I think it is a $5 worth of fun type game, but it is. You probably aren't going to get too much fun out of more than an hour or two. It does scratch a similar itch as the mechanic. It feels pretty similar to Astroneer in terms of like the digging mechanic of that. That had like a great digging mechanic. And then also kind of feels like Paint Wash Simulator, kind of, like depending upon how you do the digging. As a personal note, I started a personal quest to dig all of the dirt out of the game just to see what would happen, which takes a little while. And I think I got halfway through, and then I just looked up the subreddit, and somebody had already posted a picture of digging out all the dirt. And I was like, all right, I'm satisfied with that. I can stop what
Internet.
I'm doing. Yeah. So if you have OCD, this could be a good purchase for you. So go find your bliss with that, I guess.
Go for it.
But I will say kudos to the, it's a small game, but it is pretty well put together for what it is.
Yeah.
So,
and
I think
it's made enough of a splash. Like it's a whole thing.
Yeah. I think it's kind of been popularly streamed, the past few weeks or a month. So yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Moxie, you cheered when Ben said the name of the game. Like, is this just something you've been watching people play, or?
Yeah, this is one I've been watching, and I love the core premise of this. I loved SteamWorld Dig. In Terraria, my favorite part was just exploring and digging down in the caves, that sort of thing. So this is something that has been on my horizon, and I think's pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess one thing I didn't mention is, like, outside of upgrading your stuff, some of the things you can buy is you can buy lights and dynamite, because
nice.
When you start going down, it starts getting darker. And then dynamite just helps clear either giant rocks that you can't really dig through, or if you want, you can just throw dynamite to make holes if you want to dig that way, but it's expensive.
Does the dynamite destroy valuables?
Ooh, good question. I don't think it does. And this is kind of where you get to some of the rougher edges, but the minerals will just kind of float in the air until you pick them up. Mm-hmm. So I believe that's what happens when you blow stuff up, but I could be wrong.
Gotcha. Neat. Yeah. Seems like we all played. I mean, at least 3 of us played something relatively new. Good for us.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Didn't mean to exclude you there, Moxie.
No problem. I mean, this is relatively new in terms of like something I haven't played for 10 years. So.
Gotcha.
The grind.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and you answer. Dennis, what is the question that you asked the nice people?
Yeah, so yesterday, as of our recording, was March 10th, Mario Day.
Yeah.
And so I was feeling festive, wanted to hear people's thoughts on what Mario game is nearest and dearest to their hearts. Not necessarily the best, but the dearest to you.
Yeah. I will get started here with Lucy, who says, Super Mario Land. It's the first one I could beat, so it's always been special to me. That's the one for Game Boy. It's the weird first one that's very short. It's like 4 levels, but like a couple of those levels are like side-scrolling shooters.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm not aware of this at all.
No.
There's a Luigi joke I don't want to make right now.
The things are being described as terrorism that shouldn't be described as terrorism. I appreciate you keeping your powder dry. Mm-hmm. That's pretty close to one of mine. We'll see if anybody else has taken it. Moxie, what does Michael say?
Michael says Super Mario World. It was the game I played most on the SNES. The secrets, the great controls, flying across the level once you've mastered the cape's mechanics. It just feels right, and I can still go back to it today and be satisfied.
Yeah. I mean,
Fair.
Also arguably arguably the best Mario game.
So
Mario World.
Is this the one that is you have like the whistle to move around, or is this the one that's very Yoshi forward?
It is quite Yoshi forward without being Yoshi's Island. The whistle one is Super Mario 3. This is
sweet.
like SNES launch game one.
Yeah. This one, other than we'll get to my favorite one later, but this is a very good one.
Yes. I have a lot of good memories of this one, playing it after my dad got us a Super Nintendo, and then like playing it with my cousins. Good time. Ben, what does Pint of Bovril say?
Pint of Bovril says, I've been quite late to the Mario Party. I'm nearly 40, and the only 2 Mario games I've played are Odyssey and Wonder. I'll have to go with Wonder. It's been a long time since a game made me feel such childlike glee. Nice.
God. Wonder is such a creative and whimsical game. I love it.
What is this? I've never even heard of that.
That's the side-scrolling one that came out on the Switch. Had the elephant power up.
Okay.
And like different, like you found the special like mushroom flowers that would cause like hallucinations, and each level had kind of a like a little mini game hook to it. Almost.
Well, when you say it like that,
that's literally what's happening.
not gonna lie, the elephant power up generated like my favorite week of fan art of just it was like the Bowsette, except it was like, what is every single character look like as an elephant?
Oh yeah. No, I was gonna say like it was the wildest that I saw Mario fans get since the Bowsette thing, which was literally just an excuse for artists to just put out whatever gender bent Mario stuff they had. Yeah.
Yep.
I had to look
spoiler, you don't need an excuse, just throw it out there.
Yeah,
We're here
no,
for it.
just, yeah. Bovril is like that's a British product. It's like a meat paste, like a beef extract paste.
Oh no.
It sounds awful.
I didn't have to know that.
I want to know.
Why do I have to know that now?
I want to know what Bovril was. I You wanted me to suffer
you
alone?
You did. I didn't. I didn't know I didn't until I knew it, but now I know I don't.
I'll make it up by letting you read Rob Robinson's. What's Double Cake say?
Yes. They say, I'd say Super Mario World, since I've played it the most, and it's the Mario that ranks highest in my fave games list. But that's partly in thanks due to ROM hacks. I'm nostalgic for it, all right, but I'm more nostalgic for Super Mario RPG, for introducing me to RPGs, and Yoshi's Island, since I played it earlier in my life and it had a bigger effect on me, and it's a more atmospheric experience. It also doesn't star Mario, which I think is a plus. I don't like Mario. Oh, okay. You're gonna make me. Yeah, you stuck me with this one.
Yeah.
No, you're fine. Double Cakes. He's kind of a jack. Okay, no, you wouldn't. He's kind of a jackass.
And
are you just looking for things you can clip to assassinate my character?
I don't know that the Mario stands are going to come gunning for you. I think there are other concerns.
I don't know. I saw how wild they went for the elephants, man. They can be scary.
Yeah. I mean, this pretty much leads into mine. Like, obviously there are Mario games that I played more, and it's not like Mario RPG is especially like great. There are, big problems with it, but it was one of my first RPGs. It was like that and Final Fantasy II, the American version of that. So Final Fantasy IV. And also it is weird and unlike a lot of other Mario stuff. Like they had to invent a whole like lore and original characters for it too, that have like never showed up in anything again. And the music's great in that one too. But if it had to be more traditional, I would say Super Mario Land 2, which is the Game Boy game that would like is more like Mario World. I played a ton of that because I played more Game Boy than Super Nintendo around, and I have like a lot of good memories of like being over at my grandma's and hanging out and playing that game, and it was nice. Just nice memories. Yeah.
I'm the same. I was primarily a Game Boy kid.
Yeah. Let's see here. Moxie, how about you?
Yeah, so I do have to give, shout out to, fond memories of, just kind of the conglomeration of Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario and, the Mario and Luigi, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Super Mario RPG in particular was one I emulated, and it was really kind of fun to all of a sudden fall into this game that's like, you can very much just pick up and enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think the one that's probably the biggest for me is, was it Mario and the 6 Golden Coins for the...
Yeah, that's Super Mario Land 2. That's the one I was talking about. Yeah, I just didn't say the subtitle. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think the big thing for me is one, that's the first one I experienced, and maybe the first one that broke away from the strict, horizontal side scrolling to have, a lot of like moving into different rooms and moving vertically, more complex levels, every area having its own mechanics, all those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
So it was much more of an exploration game than just a raw platformer.
Mm-hmm.
Also, had some great power-ups, in particular the bunny ears, that both let you kind of hold down the jump button to kind of do a chain jump, automatic jump along the ground, which was fun. And also you could like tap the button to flap your bunny ears to sort of glide.
Mm-hmm.
And what made that even more fun was that you kept your power-ups at the end of a level.
Yeah.
Or if you exit out of a level. And likewise, some of the levels had like halfway progress saves. So there ended up being this almost RPG style thing where like I had certain levels that I would purposely leave them either at the beginning or at the halfway point and know that I could easily go into them, get the power up I wanted, and then exit back to the main map and then use that power up somewhere else.
Yeah, you have a power up farm. Yeah.
Yep. So to me that was I always struggled to get into some of the Mario games because they were so just raw gameplay. And that almost had some like RPG elements to it that really made it go down a lot smoother for me.
Yeah. It's a good game. Music's great too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ben, how about you?
I was hoping for some more like non-traditional answers on this question. Like I was hoping for like a Smash Brothers in there or something like that. But
I thought like I had picked some oddities on mine. Okay.
But for mine personally,
the most condescending.
No.
A little bit meat and potatoes, Ross. Yeah.
For me, it is the Dr. Mario Tetris Mix and Match for the SNES because we played this in college a lot, that was competitively.
I think our roommate agreement specified that for resolving conflicts.
Ooh. So now this is one that I played like my 4th year. So I do agree that there was something like that. But I can't recall which game it was.
This was when you were over on Chickasaw, right?
This was Wheeler, yeah.
Okay,
but close enough. Yeah. Would have been.
We gotta get those deep cuts in.
It was a good one. So,
yeah, I remember you being just an outright fiend for that.
Mostly on the Dr. Mario one. The Tetris one, Kirk could catch up on me. But, yeah.
I remember they did Dr. Mario for, was it like GameCube or something, that had a whole story mode that was just really silly and kind of lovable.
That had like 4-player Dr. Mario on it.
It'd be great if it was just like Mario at med school and nothing to do with the original game.
Mario starting to sell prescription pads. Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, so I mentioned I was a Game Boy kid, and I'm going to go with Super Mario Land 3, aka Wario Land.
Oh, yeah.
This somehow was the first Mario game I stumbled into when I got a Game Boy. And was my reference point for the series, apart from, I think, playing like the NES ones at my cousin's house occasionally before that. But like this was the first Mario game that I really played through start to finish. And just has a very special place in my heart. Specifically because of the game's manual. Just very detailed, filled with like bespoke art and hints. And like the last 3 pages of the manual is just like a Pokédex of all the enemies that you're going to encounter with like descriptions and, tips. And then like a very lovingly drawn like cartoon version of the enemy to go with the sprites.
Yeah. Manuals used to be so great.
Is this the one where you're inside like a music box or like a snow globe or something?
You're on an island and traveling around an island. I do want to say that there is like a section of the island. It might be a music box, but it's some kind of like mechanical level. And if you go out the main exit, it like shuts the lid of the box. But if you find an alternate level, it leaves the lid open, and that allows you to go to like a different special area. So.
I'm apparently thinking of Wario Land 3.
Yes.
So I think that's a different one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess that would be Wario Land 3, Super Mario Land 6,
I think they stopped doing the Rambo numbering.
Yeah, something like that.
What I thought you were going to say was that Wario was your entry into this, like it was your first encounter. So for you, Mario was the Wario.
Yes, that would be an interesting world.
Yeah.
I mean, we are still all on board that Waluigi is the true hero, right?
I think Waluigi's underexplored. Yeah.
Yep. Like you could be anyone, but you were the second version of the second character.
Yeah. Yeah, good question. I like thinking about Mario games. Thanks everybody for participating and responding. If you would like to, you can follow the Level Podcast on Blue Sky, watch the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons, and thank you, Dennis, for posting the question.
Yeah. By the way, if you missed Mario Day, March 10th, it's considered acceptable to kind of celebrate belatedly by jumping on your friend's head all the way through March. So just bust that out.
Yeah. Do it and say the Level Podcast by Duckfeed Productions LLC told me this is a good idea. Otherwise, It won't work.
So it does bother me that the whole Mario Day being March 10th thing only works in America because we're the only ones that do the date that way.
Eomar.
Oh God.
It would be October 3rd, I guess, in other places.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
But if you write out the whole thing is writing out the first three letters. Mar as an abbreviation for March, which I think is consistent, right? I don't know.
I feel pretty good for coming up with Eomar like right away.
Yeah.
The end boss. Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games and how we feel about them. Taking a look here, I want to go with Ben, since you posted your story over the weekend.
Yeah, so this one's about a game that hasn't officially released yet, and I don't think we've talked about it. But it's a game called Bazaar. It's made by was it Tempo Storm, which is like originally like a esports game company. I only know of them because one of the Magic streamers I watch is sponsored by them, so I've seen that logo for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. But they've been working on this game where it's kind of like this it's Bazaar, like the marketplace type thing. And like Bazaar Baghdad for the Magic listeners. But it's the premise of it is you're in this like science fiction-y bazaar, and it's an auto battler where you're buying different items and then your markets fight one another. Like you're matched up against a random person. So it's kind of a goofy premise for a game. It's been in early access or in like Kickstarter stage for like, I don't know, like 5-7 years.
Like 7 years or something like
long
that.
Time. Yeah. And so recently, over the past week, they put out a patch notes, but there's a little bit of controversy around it where they said that there's basically going to be a pay to win sort of model for it, and which isn't necessarily outrageous for a game in this genre, but in the context of this game, the original Kickstarter, which a lot of people have been posting over the last week, like made a promise that the people who invested in it, like there weren't going to be pay to win or pay to play mechanics in it. You, by backing the base game, you would get 2 of the characters, like heroes or whatever, and their complete decks, and that those would be like a comparable power level to any new factions that are added later. Yeah. And so, I mean, hindsight 2020, like obviously that sort of promise is going to be hard to keep, because it seems like with games of this ilk, because I feel like Marvel Snap is kind of in the same sort of game design space, where it kind of behooves them to make very interesting heroes come out, and incentivize people to try and buy the new hero to try it out. And so they're going that direction, but there's more controversy around this since a lot of people have already invested money in this game in particular, and were kind of promised a different experience than that. So there's kind of a minor blowback right now for that. I personally haven't played this game. It's in early access right now. It has been like streamed on Twitch. Like I think Northern Lions played it before, like, and streamed it. So it does like have some popularity around it, or does have some sort of potential around it. But I can't really speak too much to the gameplay outside of just the brief videos I've seen, but I don't really have a good handle on like what the meta's like or anything like that. But anyway, but from my point of view, or my opinion around it, is it does seem kind of disappointing that there are other ways to monetize the game. Like the original thing that they said that was the monetization around it was going to be purely cosmetic. Like they would have alternate art or like gold framed things that you can buy and stuff like that. And that stuff's like pretty harmless, where people who are really into the game can pay for it if they want. But but doesn't really have effect on the gameplay. And it seems like they're not going that direction anymore. So
no,
a little bit of a bummer, but.
And just it is a rookie mistake to make that kind of promise before you understand like what the business reality is going to be for it. Like they would have gotten backlash if they, announced this part of the way in, but the fact that like they gave a piece of information that people made decisions on and then yanked it is go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say the other piece of the story, too, is they are not PR trained yet either, because after the blowback to this...
you kind of buried the lead here.
Yeah, after the blowback of this, they doubled down and are just like, we shouldn't communicate to you guys in the first place. Like, this is like...
we shouldn't communicate as much.
Yeah, and it's like, ooh, don't say that.
He called the entire debacle, this is from a PC Gamer article, he called the entire debacle on the game's Discord, quote, a great exercise in showing why we should communicate less. I regret doing a patch note video at all this week. It gives people a day to lie, assume the worst, and doomsay, rather than just experience the new content firsthand.
Yeah,
I was stressed about monetization over the past few years, but seeing Reddit lose it today lets me breathe a huge sigh of relief. I'm pretty confident we're on the right track now.
Jesus.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah. From my point of view, this contrast against like Marvel Snap and how they communicate with people, it's like, wow, they do a really good job. And they don't do this. Don't do this at all.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway.
I don't know. Yeah, 7 years is way too long for a game like that to be developed, especially if you're making promises the whole time.
Yeah. I don't know enough about the context of like the development to kind of say too much on it. And it's like one of those things where it's like, say it comes out and it's like pitch perfect game design, then like maybe some of these individual choices could be warranted, but but yeah, it definitely seems like it's on a bad track right now. So
right. Yeah. Let's see here. Since that was kind of a card game and you mentioned Magic there, Moxie, what is Wizards of the Coast doing?
Well, I cannot help you with that one. That is a much deeper question. But we know that they have announced a new addition to the Magic the Gathering Extended Universe. Which is going to be SpongeBob SquarePants. And in particular, there's apparently going to be several sets, and the first set is just reskins of existing Magic cards with SpongeBob memes.
So the SpongeBob bending over, doing the weird voice thing. Yep. Squidward looking out the blinds. So these are
Days and Counterspell. I support like the art matching the card and how it's used in Magic. But yeah, weird for that Magic is doing this. I guess it kind of fits with they're just glomming onto a bunch of different existing IPs. But yeah.
I'm not against the whole IP thing in principle. I've heard cases for both ways. It's hard for me to care. I don't know. I've got no horse in the race. So whatever. Sure. This just feels goofy to me. But hearing that they are reskins of existing cards mechanically and not like, oh, here is a product rollout kind of thing makes it feel a little bit better to me. Like if this was just like a, little April Fool's joke that they put out as a goof. That's kind of what this feels like. Yep.
I do love the idea that with it being a reskin, apparently these are just straight up, allowed in a lot of tournament areas where they wouldn't necessarily normally be.
Yeah.
So I love the idea that eventually there's going to be some high-level tournament player that has, like, one of these goofy counter spells in his deck, and it's just going to, like, show up halfway through the tournament.
Well, not to be that guy, but I think another bit of recent controversy around Magic is where they had said Universes Beyond cards will never be, like, legal. or tournament legal. No. They have recently walked that back. So not only might you see Patrick, but you also might see Darth Vader or Legolas or Sephiroth. Pick your fandom. Yeah. Just
Orcish Bowmasters.
Nothing is not a cash grab.
Yeah.
See, I think what I would like to see is, if they're going to do stuff like that, actually incorporate SpongeBob into the lore. So you just need, I need to see like, oh yeah, this is the section of Bikini Bottom that got infected with black black mana and is now just full of Lovecraftian horrors.
Yeah. It's already under the ocean. So halfway there. Let's see. Dennis, what's happening with that Devil May Cry anime?
Yeah, so Devil May Cry, because there's already been a Devil May Cry anime, but a new Devil May Cry anime is
the American Netflix one. Yeah.
Yeah, coming to Netflix in April, which is exciting. More Devil May Cry is always good. And there is marketing starting to spool up for it, which has done a great job teasing kind of the way the show is going to capture the style of the game. There's lots of Easter eggs, like in this latest poster, you can see Agni of Agni and Rudra, who is mysteriously, still having his head attached to his body. Mm-hmm. Strong suspicions that will become detached at some point in the show, as this is a prequel. So very cool stuff. But the poster also has a tagline, and I promise you, whatever you think the tagline might be, it is so much worse.
So like that makes it sound like there's going to be a slur in it. I think that this is just a kind of I don't like the word, but cringe.
If you are a true believer in demons, you know that demon is a slur. So
okay,
no. The tagline is "Come at me, demon bro."
Yeah, that's uninspired.
Bad, very bad. Bad enough that the creator of the show this time around, Adi Shankar, actually stepped in and had it changed.
Okay.
So the tagline now reads, "This party's getting crazy," which is, a famous line from the game's combo. So excellent. That's so easy to get right. I don't know what went wrong.
Yeah.
He actually apologized on, I can't tell if this is Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever, but he apologized saying like, "Hey, yeah, this was a mistake. I kind of missed it. I am very focused on the show right now, and we'll get more involved with marketing, going forward, because clearly they need me."
Yeah.
So yeah.
So hear me out though.
Go ahead.
Hear me out. I've been, with the whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, all that, I've been listening, kind of binging a lot of like punk rock history podcasts and stuff. And, Devil May Cry, definitely very punk inspired, and nothing is more punk than having incredibly cringy things that you are convinced are super cool.
This is fair.
Part of the cringe thing is just like, it's just a meme. It's like it's a thing people say when they're trying to be funny. Like, it doesn't reflect anything about, I don't know. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it totally doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, granted, in Devil May Cry 5, 2 of your weapons were a motorcycle, and B, a fedora. So, okay. Yes. Devil May Cry has its fair share of cringe.
Yeah.
Wait, was the fedora called the Milady? Because that would be amazing.
No, it was called the Malady. Oh my God. Wait.
What was it? Really?
No.
Oh, okay.
I have to go check.
I was going to say, that just sounds, I never played DMC5, so I don't know.
That would be amazing if that was the case. But yeah, so just cool to see the director, caring about something like this, stepping in and acknowledging when something missed the mark.
Yeah.
Not everything has to be a Sonic level, fan outcry to fix things, but it's nice to know people are listening and care about how it shows up.
Yeah, it does
speaks well for how he's going to treat the rest of the anime.
Yeah, no, it's I could see people getting worried seeing a tagline like that for however much it adds up to, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, just because I looked it up, the fedora is called Dr. Faust, and apparently is considered a gun.
Yes. Gun specifically, I think that generates orbs for you, assuming you can not take damage for long enough.
So it's a 9mm.
Wow.
I'm
Okay.
gonna need some time to recover.
So I've got one. This is more just like a heads up, because if you're like me, you don't necessarily pay a lot of attention to what goes on Switch Online. But they added a real cool game, actually 2 games that I'm interested in to the Switch Online, specifically for Game Boy, in this past week, which follows, just they had like nonsense. It's just full of popcorn classics on there, real and impressive stuff. But this past weekend, they added in Mario Picross, which is kind of a rarity. And I am, Picross is my weird little fixation when it comes to puzzle games. But more impressively, they added Donkey Kong 94, which is the best game with Donkey Kong in the title. Yeah, it's it ends up being this the first 3 levels, it's like Donkey Kong, but then it becomes this 90-ish level puzzle platformer with Mario ending up having a lot of the moves that he would have in Mario 64. It's kind of the most expressive 2D Mario had gotten before Mario 64 came and made expressive movement its entire thing. You can do handstands and stuff. It's great. Yeah. So that's there. Play it. We did a WAF about it a little bit ago, and it's good.
I love the concept of Mario Picross, although I think I would prefer Mario Macross.
Macross Picross. Yeah. Oh, any other combinations of that we want to do?
I think we got it.
Sorry, I didn't
one.
Yeah. So that sounds like a show to me. How does everybody feel about buttoning it up?
Let us button.
The credit.
Thank you so much for listening to level number, what are we at here? 536. We appreciate you taking the time. Just a reminder, I will be at the Midwest Gaming Classic in Milwaukee, doing a panel with Gary Butterfield. You know Gary.
As opposed to the other Garys on the network.
Yes, the many other Garys. Doing a panel about retro gaming for the Dark Souls fan on Saturday night at 7 p.m. on the bonus stage. It'll be a good time. We're going to have a meetup afterward. Remember, we're not going to have a table this year, so we're just going to be free floating. So look for details on the meetup. That's on our Patreon. We would love to see you there if you're in the area. For this show, you know what you can do: ratings, reviews, telling your friends, supporting the network on Patreon. It's all good stuff. Is there anything that I'm forgetting?
If you get Void Crew, let me know. I'll play with you.
Okay. I think that's about it. I've been Kole Ross. You can find me on Blue Sky at Kole Ross.
I've been Dennis Furry. Oh, my goodness. Had a stroke there.
Mm-hmm. You were thinking about Milliner, so you almost had Dennis Furrier.
I think we're just revealing that Dennis is a furry.
There's something I wanted to talk to you about.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So I've been Dennis Furia. You can find me on Blue Sky at Furia Games.
I've been Moxie.
And I've been Ben Merkel.
And stick around for some titles. That was a really dumb thing I said.
No.
I have two. Overtaken by Bees, just the letter B. And then from the Book of Mud Runner.
So I also had the Book of Mud Runner.
Okay.
Sorry, I was searching for what are bees in NetHack. I'm sorry. So I had the Book of Mud Runner. I had I didn't know I didn't till I knew it.
Who was that?
That
I
was
know that now,
Dennis talking about not wanting to know what the beef stuff was.
Okay, I didn't know I didn't until I did. What's it?
It's I didn't know I didn't till I knew it.
Okay.
I had Iamar. And
good
I
week for
had
titles.
I of course had 9 Milliner.
I need to look up how to spell milliner. 2 L's. L's but 1. Let's see. Ben, you got anything?
I got nothing this week.
Okay. Dennis, how about you?
I also had 9 Milliner. So
Okay.
put a check on that one. I also had one from early in the episode. Where is the colon?
Oh gosh, this is a hard one.
Oh man, yeah, this is
I almost
impossible.
don't like. I don't know that I want to do the where's the colon because we've been hitting the last year was a pretty heavy year for the horny titles, and I don't want to go prurient with it. I don't know that 9 Milliner. I'd rather that one live as a. I'd rather that one live as just like in the moment joke. But I didn't know. I kind of like I didn't know I didn't till I knew it.
Yep.
I will not say no.
Sure.
Okay. It is decided.
Also, apparently, if the B is lowercase, it's a blob. If it's uppercase, it's either a bat or a bird.
Oh,
Oh,
neither are
how
too
can
big
you
of a
tell?
deal. I think they've just behaved the same way. I think bats are indoors and birds are outside.
Yeah, which is kind of
Immersion
weird because
broken.
the whole thing NetHack's a dungeon. Sorry, I'm going way off the deep end. Never mind.
It is decided.